So I'm going to talk about the new feature we added to Trivy this week about adding CVSS vectors. So for those who are not familiar with what the CVSS vectors are, I'll just do a quick intro to them. So um, this is sort of what it looks like on an NVIDIA vulnerability definition. And you can see there's a score, which you're familiar with, but they also have a vector, and vector is just like a combination of a bunch of things of how the score was derived to be. And for this particular vulnerability, you can see the score is 7.5. But then if you dig into how that score was derived, you can see that there are a bunch of factors, which contribute to how the 7.5 score was achieved. So in this case, this is sort of like a nice little web form that they have that I found very handy to sort of like play with different factors of like how the score would have changed if, the attack vector was on the network versus the local network or something like that. So it has a bunch of, attributes of every, I guess, a possible thing or a range of possibilities that can happen, and they rate them according to this formula. So if you're wondering where the 7.5 comes from, you can go back and do the math and find that out. So that's a short intro to how the score is derived, and we added this to Trivy because users wanted to see that when they do when they run a Trivy scan. So we do a quick output of a Debian Buster image. You can see the same vulnerability here, CV 2019-9923 with all the vendor vectors that are there. So turns out that there is NVD that provides this vector for vulnerabilities for both V2 and V3, but also Red Hat has their own set of vectors. So you can see that they're a little bit different of for some of the parameters, like Red Hat has rated it differently. So you can see attack vector for NVD's network, but then Red Hat says that the attack vector for this particular vulnerability can be local. So that's why you have a discrepancy in the final scores for a particular vulnerability that you have, and that's because of how they've come to derive the score itself.